Whenever and wherever you want to talk sports.
Now it's time for Monty in the Morning.
Hey, yo, man. How the heck are you? It is Tuesday, July the 27th, 2021. Millennials are struggling.
What else is new?
Case in point right there.
Yeah.
Jake is a millennial. We're going to talk about the struggle for happiness and prosperity
With Uncle Monty.
in the crotch of a young millennial boy. Anyway, point is, we'll talk about the challenges facing millennials.
Okay. Nice. Okay.
Yeah. We will also get into the Utah Jazz as more rumors are abound.
They're tearing the whole organization down.
They're not changing anything. I mean, it's amazing, the rumor mill that's going on. Good morning to A Drinking and Cigar Journey with Eric Leatham.
Okay. Nice name.
Nice to meet you. Let's get right to work, though, on this A-Rod situation with the Green Bay freaking Packers. So the saga continues. And one of the things we've talked about on this show for several weeks with Aaron Rodgers is how much value is there really in all of this drama. And if you're the Green Bay Packers, I think you got caught off guard in January when you got eliminated again. So how are we in late July and you still have made no adjustments at the quarterback situation? It's a very perplexing situation. It's one that's led the news cycle, especially on ESPN.
Get up!
All spring and summer long. And it's something that everybody's talked about, and it's one of those situations where when you get into the nuts and bolts of it, the Packers won. If you believe what's out there, and the latest, greatest news on Aaron Rodgers is that A-Rod and the Packers have come to an agreement that will keep Aaron Rodgers in Green Bay for one last run in 2021. And by all accounts, including Adam Schefter, ESPN's NFL insider, reporting this morning that Aaron Rodgers will be a free agent after this season. There will be a list of teams that he is forbidden from joining next year. All of that to say Aaron Rodgers is going to spend the next year, Jake, mentoring Jordan Love and trying to win one more championship for the Green Bay Packers. And I just ask, was it all worth it?
Yeah, I mean, it's definitely a tough question to ask. I think we've been asking the is Aaron Rodgers worth it question for, how many years now, and whether it's fair or unfair for Aaron Rodgers, he's never lived up to what Brady's done or what any of the peers he's played with in his generation have done. And I think that for me is a tough part. We see, him do some pretty ridiculous things in the regular season in terms of stats and come from behind wins and all these great things. But at the end of the day, every single postseason, it seems like he runs into Tom Brady and whoever Tom Brady's Scotty Miller is that year. It seems like that happens to him almost every year. And so, to me, is he worth it? Yeah, he's worth it to get to the postseason. Is he worth it for all of this drama? No, absolutely not. If it was me, I would have traded him and I would have got all my first-round picks back. I would have got all that value back. But for whatever reason, the Packers, in all their infinite wisdom, decided not to trade him. And I really don't understand the mentality because you have him, under contract. He's playing the I'm really good, I'm going to choose where I want to go card, which is fine. That happens in the NFL all the time. So as an organization, you have to decide how bad you want to fight. And they clearly, are just resigned to the idea of trading him, which I don't understand. And this is really where the conversation I feel like needs to go. In sports, why is it that it's so hard to say we need to trade this guy even though he's given us a lot of good years? Why is that so difficult? It's like the Dame situation almost, Now, Dame and the Blazers don't have as much vitriol in their situation as A-Rod and the Packers do. But at the end of the day, it's kind of the same situation. And so that's why it just surprises me. This is like Bryce Harper all those years ago, before his departure from Washington to go to Philly. Washington had the opportunity to trade him, and they didn't trade him. And what happened? He signs whatever it is. I can't remember the numbers now, like 13
$300 million.
$330 million or whatever it was, And now you play Bryce Harper all the time. And so to me, I just don't understand it. Get your value back. Why, if you're the Green Bay Packers, are you so scared to not be good for a couple years, right? Why are you so? Because at the end of the day, think about it. If you're unwilling to trade a guy, if you're unwilling to move on from what you have now, that would only be because you think that what you have now is the only thing stopping you from being a mediocre team, So to me, and we're going to talk Jazz later in the show. This is kind of the same concept with that. Like, suffer now, get some value, get better, and contend for a championship in a couple seasons. Why is that rocket science?
Well, and I think I wouldn't call it rocket science. What I would say is that you have to, if you are the Green Bay Packers, do a couple of things. Learn from this, because there's no way around the conversation that the Green Bay Packers have completely botched this again and again. And this is not something new. The New York Jets and the Brett Favre Minnesota Vikings at the end of the day drama should have never happened. And you would have thought after you ran Brett Favre out of Green Bay or vice versa that you would have learned from this. But now Aaron Rodgers is in strikingly the same situation as Brett Favre. Fans are divided. There's no owner to step in and give you clear direction. And you have the same mess all over again. Does Aaron Rodgers wind up playing for Minnesota, Detroit? I can't imagine he would be a Chicago Bear. Does he wind up in Denver? Does Aaron Rodgers wind up wearing another uniform and somehow, some way, finally figures it out in the biggest moments and he wins a ring? Meanwhile, Jordan Love, who I think we all know is never going to be good enough, because no matter what he does, he's going to have an incredible amount of pressure to perform. Does Jordan Love ever get over the top with Green Bay Packer fans? How can he? Because he's not going to be as good as Aaron Rodgers was replacing Brett Favre, because nobody will be. Aaron Rodgers, whether you love the Packers or hate the Packers, Aaron Rodgers is one thing. He's awfully good.
You're Aaron fucking Rodgers.
I mean, you're an NFL MVP. You are the most important player on the Green Bay Packers, and the Green Bay Packers couldn't figure it out? How is that possible? This is a historically good franchise, but maybe that's the difference. Maybe the Packers and maybe Aaron Rodgers are just good, not great. And the difference between good and great is very slim, especially in the National Football League, when you have, mediocrity across the league for the most part, and you have a very, very slim number of people like Tom Brady that wind up being elite. And Jake, I just don't know if you're the Green Bay Packers, I don't know how you ever recover from this, because they have this reputation now, and justifiably so, I think, where veterans, and especially star veterans, are not coveted by the Packers, it would not seem.
Yeah, no, I don't think so. And I think, we've also seen this whole situation with Devontae Adams kind of slowly but surely marinating. And I think that, I don't know. It's kind of hard to say what's going to happen with Devontae Adams. I mean, it's been, if you haven't seen it, you've been living under a rock. But, they both, Aaron Rodgers and Devontae Adams on the same day posted that, Scottie Pippen, Michael Jordan photo from The Last Dance. And obviously that was symbolic and meaningful and everything. And so it kind of starts to allude to the fact that, Devontae Adams is saying, hey, I'm a 99 Madden, bro. I'm the best wide receiver in the game.
I'm sorry. I thought you said a 99 Madden.
Yeah, I'm a 99 in Madden.
Bro.
I'm the best receiver in the game, and I can go wherever I want to because people are going to be paying me left and right.
I'm a 90.
Yeah. If you think guys don't care about that, you're crazy. They absolutely care about that.
Listen.
They care about that.
Hey, man, do you understand the world we live in? Hey, man, how many touchdowns you have last year? I don't know, but I'm a 99 on Madden.
Yeah, dude. Hell yeah.
That's so ridiculous, and it's so true.
Yeah.
You're exactly right about that. And I think Devontae Adams just plays into this. And again, I would caution you as the Green Bay Packers. The Detroit Lions are going to be much better. The Bears are the Bears. They are what you thought they were, which is not good enough ever. Yeah. But this division's getting better. It's not getting worse. And I think at some point, the Green Bay Packers, who, it's hard to spin their failures over the last decade. Since they won that Super Bowl with Aaron Rodgers, it's awfully difficult to look back and feel good about what you've accomplished in that night.
I mean, that was
1973,
I
think.
I mean, that might as well have been like 100 years ago at this point.
Well, but that's part of the discussion is that, you're Aaron effing Rodgers, but you're one of the things you've done is consistently disappoint in big games in January.
You're Aaron fucking Rodgers.
And you want more from Aaron Rodgers, and you're just not getting that. And I think that's why I say, everybody downplays the Matt Stafford to the LA Rams deal. The Rams aren't standing pat, right? Aaron Rodgers is a great player. This is again, look at the NBA, all these regular season heroics. Well, I'm telling you, you don't make your legacy in the regular season. It's cool that Giannis won MVPs and Defensive Player of the Year, but what's made him now? He carried the Milwaukee Bucks to an NBA championship. That's what people will remember. What will you remember about Aaron Rodgers? That Aaron Rodgers hasn't won enough in Green Bay, and he's not considered the best quarterback of his generation.
Nope.
Yet you threw the whole franchise into turmoil and likely cost yourself not only the best quarterback that you have on your roster, but the best wide receiver arguably in the entire NFL.
Yeah.
All for a guy who's not arguably even the best quarterback in the NFL.
Yeah.
The Green Bay Packers, Jake, should have moved on. They should have traded Aaron Rodgers far sooner. And by the way, they haven't even traded him yet. And if it's true what Adam Schefter at ESPN is reporting, that he's going to be a free agent after this season, I think this is an incredibly short-sighted decision by the Green Bay Packers.
Yeah, I just don't know okay, so you're going to sign him for one more year because why?
Because you were unprepared. You were unprepared to lose Aaron Rodgers.
But hear me out. What's the worst that's going to happen, right? Think about this. Whether you do it now, or obviously they're not doing it now, but whether you do it now or you do it this coming off season, at the end of the day, you're going to suck once he leaves.
Yes.
You need to understand that as Packer fans. Once Aaron leaves, that next season with Jordan Love and company is not going to be good. So my question is, why are you delaying the inevitable? Why are we pushing off season after season? Because if we really think about this, hasn't this been below the radar going on for 3 seasons?
Yeah, several years.
Right? I mean, we've been kind of the rumor mill, the slow burning smoke has been billowing into the skies of Lambeau for 4 seasons now about how he's all upset and there's always something going on with Aaron Rodgers. You always joke with how his family hates him. That's the kind of guy we're talking about. He's
a drama-filled figure. There's no doubt.
Yeah.
Whether it's which Hollywood star is he dating, his family drama. In all seriousness, Aaron Rodgers loves him some Aaron Rodgers, and he's a guy who has always been high maintenance, and he probably will always be high maintenance. But the other thing that Aaron Rodgers is elite. I mean, the guy in the regular season anyway, you look at Aaron Rodgers' regular season numbers, it's hard to find flaw in the way that he's performed. I mean, last year, 4,299 yards, 48 touchdowns, 5 interceptions. 9% of his passes went for touchdowns last year, which is by far a career high.
Yeah.
Aaron Rodgers is really, really good. When you complete 71% of your passes, when you have that kind of ability, and then you don't win a Super Bowl, and you are
a malcontent. That's what he is, a malcontent.
But you're also 37 years old.
Mm-hmm.
And you're just not able to, in my opinion, you're not able to, to do it in the biggest moments.
Yes.
Those are the things that matter. I mean, Aaron Rodgers has had an incredible run. I mean, what is he, a 9-time Pro Bowler?
Mm-hmm.
Aaron Rodgers is really, really good. And the thing that I will just never understand is why can you not be at least content? There's always an Aaron Rodgers problem.
Yeah.
And this, again, plays into my question of, has Aaron Rodgers really been the guy where you're like, yeah, this guy's vital to our team. We must keep him.
Yeah, well, that's what it feels like.
Well, but I think they missed their highest, best return on Aaron Rodgers by 2 seasons.
Yeah.
After, 2 years ago, I think he threw for 4,400 yards. You knew you had trouble then.
Yeah.
Then Mike McCarthy gets fired, and I think about all the stuff that Aaron Rodgers has been through. I mean, again, he's a 3-time MVP, including the reigning MVP. I understand he's playing at a high level, but at some point, you find yourself where you're at now, and that is you're likely not to get anything in return for Aaron Rodgers, which would be shocking if you're the Green Bay Packers.
Yeah, I mean, that's just not good enough from an organizational standpoint. I mean, again, you have to. This is what it comes down to. Like I was saying, they are not the Packers organization is not embracing the fact that the Aaron Rodgers, time is over. It's done. And whatever happens this year, at the end of the day, you're going to move on from Aaron Rodgers and go to Jordan Love.
Yeah.
You know that right now. You knew that 4 years ago. Like, you've known this time was coming. I can remember, 6, 7 seasons ago talking about, hey, when are they going to bring someone in to sit behind Aaron Rodgers to learn and to be the next guy?
Well, and Jordan Love isn't that guy. With all due respect to the Aggie Tears, Jordan Love is just not that guy. Like, if he'd have been that guy, we wouldn't be having this conversation.
Yeah, and that's why I say I just wish that, whether it's the Nationals, whether it was the Seahawks, in their situation, whether it's, Dame in Portland or the Green Bay Packers, at the end of the day, as an organization, at some point, you have to be able to identify, okay, this is now an asset that's giving us, diminished returns. We've just signed this guy and worked out a deal so he can cover us for one more year. For what purpose? What purpose? You really think this guy is going to be locked in on developing Jordan Love? Like, come on, dude.
No.
This isn't Alex Smith and Pat Mahomes.
No, and by the way, he's been here with Brett Favre.
Yeah.
He knows how to snub a player that he doesn't want to do well.
Yeah.
And I think that's why I say, like, Aaron Rodgers isn't worth all of this. And you know what? This is why the Packers are a mediocre franchise. And again, we joked yesterday on the show, but were we really kidding when we said, well, they don't have an owner and the fans and the shareholders and
No, the setup is not good for situations like this.
No, it's not, because you don't have any clear direction on this team. And I think that's what you get when you don't have guys like, think about the icons, guys like the Maras or Al Davis or, any clear Jerry Jones type owner.
Yeah.
Jerry Jones said this week it was his fault that they haven't won a championship. Well, who's that guy in Green Bay? Where's the Hunt family in Kansas City? Where is any of the great historic owners of the NFL to guide this Green Bay Packer team?
Yeah.
And I get it. That's not the setup there. Well, this is where that setup comes to bite you in the ass when you've been mediocre for 10 years and you haven't won a Super Bowl. And I just, man, it's really, how do you say it kindly? You're going on a decade of disappointment and mediocrity. Do something about it.
Tom Brady's real happy with all this happening, by the way.
Yeah, I would agree with that.
Real happy.
And that, I guess, is the conversation about Aaron Rodgers. Like, Aaron Rodgers, I'm pretty sure, was on the all-decade team, and, you feel good about it, but he's not Tom Brady. Is Aaron Rodgers better than Drew Brees? I think it's close. I mean, obviously.
I think Aaron Rodgers is a more complete quarterback skill set wise, but I think Drew Brees will be remembered in a more positive light than Aaron Rodgers. I don't have any doubt about that.
Yeah, I think
Aaron Rodgers has the ability to play better outdoors. I think Aaron Rodgers is more flexible. He can do more for you. But when you need, Drew Brees in his prime at home in the Superdome, I mean, that was just, I can remember, as a teenager, watching Monday Night Football and them saying, yeah, we're in New Orleans in the Superdome. It's Drew Brees. It's the boys. This is going to be a hell of a night.
Aaron Rodgers or Peyton Manning?
Oh, Peyton Manning. It's not even close.
Aaron Rodgers or Joe Montana?
I didn't get a chance to watch Joe, so that's
Joe Montana by far. Aaron Rodgers or Dan Marino? I'll take Aaron Rodgers. I look at... Yeah, I mean, who else would you even put in this conversation? I mean, obviously Drew Brees, Phillip Rivers. I'm taking Aaron Rodgers.
Yeah.
I think Phillip didn't, turn the ball over too much. I look at, obviously, I'm not even going to say Tom Brady because I think it's disrespectful to Tom Brady.
Yeah.
To even have him in that kind of conversation. But I think when I look at Aaron Rodgers at the end of the day, the legacy is going to be, unless he goes somewhere else and wins, and then it's on the Packers. But if Aaron Rodgers never wins another Super Bowl, it's going to be that he was a guy that was constantly a malcontent, that was full of drama in his personal life, and he wasn't worth all the hassle.
Well, it's what you always say, right? The Hall of Very Good. And that's what he is. I mean, he is a dominant regular season quarterback. It's really just a shame because when Aaron Rodgers has the football, and I can honestly say I enjoy watching Aaron Rodgers play football. Like, let's get that out there. Like, I enjoy the guy on TV, on the football field, throwing the football around. I love watching it. It's a sight to be seen. But at the end of the day, in terms of his legacy and what people are going to remember, you're exactly right. Unless he wins a Super Bowl at his next destination, he's going to be remembered as somebody who didn't get the job done, as somebody who had a lot of issues, and as somebody who dominated the regular season. You know, and I wouldn't honestly, dude, I wouldn't be surprised if he easily got into the Hall of Fame and all that. That wouldn't be surprising to me. I just think that at the end of the day, he's just that guy who's really good but never really won.
Yeah, I would agree with that. Tanner Plummer, good morning to you. Brylark, good morning to you. He says Aaron is going to whatever franchise has the most stable front office. I think all that matters to him is winning, because I think he knows, whether you want to go back a little bit and pick on a guy like a Steve Young, I think he knows he's behind Steve Young. You want to look at the modern era guys, he's behind Peyton Manning, Tom Brady, Drew Brees. Until he wins multiple rings, he's got one. Until he wins another one and perhaps a third with somebody else, Aaron Rodgers is going to be behind all those guys.
Do you think that because it's not like he's never won, right? So just like you just said, he's got one ring.
Yeah, 3-time MVP.
So because of how much success Tom Brady's had, does that then mean that Aaron Rodgers has to win like 3 to be considered, legit, or to be considered somebody who had a winning career, if you will, because of how much he's compared to Tom Brady and how much they've gone head to head?
I think we got to stop comparing people to Tom Brady. Like it is this whole thing. It's an interesting thing that we do in sports. Simone Biles, by the way, this morning pulled out of the U.S. Olympics altogether because of a mental issue, and I think part of this is the pressure that we apply to athletes, and it's an interesting comparison. If you look at Tom Brady literally is. He is the perfect athlete, physically, mentally. Like, if you drew the perfect athlete, you would, in a literal sense, draw a picture of Tom Brady. He has had longevity. He is in great shape. Like, it's everything you want. How many people can actually match Tom Brady?
Nobody yet.
A few, maybe Michael Jordan, even across all sports. Who's the baseball Tom Brady? I don't think there is one. Who's got
Jeter?
Maybe. I think Tom Brady Tom Brady's the best football player ever.
Yeah.
Ever. I don't know that you can match that, but so many try. And it's because of a-holes like us that wind up drawing comparisons to guys like Aaron Rodgers.
Why do you play the game?
Well, that's different for everybody. I don't know that Aaron Rodgers plays the game to be elite, but it would make you think that losing is eating his soul, because you're the quarterback of one of the historically great franchises in the Green Bay Packers, and it's not good enough.
Yeah.
I think I look at the pressure that we put on guys, and some can handle it and some can't. I look at guys like, look at Nick Foles. Nick Foles is one of the greatest quarterbacks to ever put on an Eagles uniform for one play. I look at
Kevin Durant.
Kevin Durant. Yeah, he has incredibly thin skin.
Yeah.
Which is amazing to me. I look at LeBron. Some guys just don't win as much as other guys do. LeBron, and the comparison of LeBron to Michael Jordan is ridiculous. Played in different eras. They're both spectacular basketball players, but LeBron will never be Mike, because Mike's got 6 rings, and Mike never lost, and Mike always hit the shot, and Mike played in a completely different era. We just have this obsession with knocking down great performers. I
just think that specifically, and I don't disagree with what you said. We definitely do. We definitely like to do that. That's what makes, a lot of great conversations happen. But I think at the end of the day, for Aaron Rodgers, the reason that I think the comparison to Tom Brady is fair and justified is because he can't have it both ways. You can't on one hand say, hey, well, I'm this great guy and I'm pissed off with the front office and in Green Bay and I want to be traded now, like tomorrow, and I can request that because I'm some great quarterback, and then not want to be held accountable to the highest standard of being a great quarterback, And so to me, with Aaron specifically, that's why I think the Tom Brady comparisons are so fair and justified because, again, we saw it this past season. Again, NFC Championship game. Tom Brady wins again, And how many times has that happened over the years? So that's why I say it's not that Aaron hasn't had his chances. He's just lost. That's as simple as I can say it. And by the way, if you remember this past season, after the Scotty Miller touchdown, going into halftime, Aaron had plenty of opportunities to come back and win that game.
Yes.
He just didn't, and Tom did. So that's why I say I think it is fair. But, when it comes to someone like Simone Biles or when it comes to, Naomi Osaka, those individual kind of athletes, I think it's different because you're alone.
But we look at things like the NFC Championship game. Aaron Rodgers throws for 346 yards and 3 scores, 1 interception. It's just not good enough.
It's not.
Tom Brady throws for 280 yards, 3 touchdowns, and 3 interceptions. Oh, man, he's the greatest quarterback ever. Well, because his team won the game. He made an incredible throw to your boy, Scotty Miller.
Yeah.
I mean, I think the mental pressure now is incredible. So we ask, why do they play the game?
Yeah.
And I think everybody's knee-jerk reaction is going to be, well, the money. They're doing it for the money. The thing that you learn quickly when you spend time around athletes like Tom Brady, Aaron Rodgers, especially in the NBA, where money is just so immense, the money for the very top of the game, the money is meaningless almost. Sure, you want it and you need it and you initially played for it, but if you're a guy like LeBron or Aaron Rodgers or Bryce Harper, pick your guy.
Yeah.
When you don't win, it eats at you.
Yeah.
Because you're never going to be considered the best. Aaron Rodgers will never be in the conversation for the best quarterback of all time. And I guarantee you somewhere in his soul there's a black hole because of that.
If the money doesn't matter to you, what else is left besides winning?
Yeah. Nothing. I'm telling you nothing. And I know so many guys. Kobe's probably the best example I've ever been around where the money just didn't matter because it's there. You know it's there. You know you're going to make it. Your legacy is what matters, right? That's what Kobe's all about, that Mamba mentality. Michael Jordan doesn't care about the money. He only cared about beating you and submitting you, right? This is the problem with Conor McGregor. Conor McGregor only continues to fight because of the money. Floyd Mayweather only continues to fight because of the money, which is why they ultimately don't achieve at the top of the game. And again, everybody will make the argument that Conor McGregor is the greatest mixed martial artist ever. Well, I disagree. I think I just look at the guys at the top of sport, and I don't think it's that much of an argument. Who's the greatest basketball player ever? It's Michael Jordan.
Yeah.
Who's the greatest football player ever? It's Tom Brady.
Yeah.
Right? Who's the greatest baseball player ever? There's a little more conjecture in that, but the names.
You know the group.
Aaron Rodgers will never be in that discussion.
Yeah.
Brett Favre will never be in that discussion. And I think for guys like that, that's really tough for them to take because when you go away, and Aaron Rodgers is unique in this, and I think this is why he's insufferable as a human being. He's not easy to befriend. He's not easy to be around, Aaron Rodgers, because you're just unhappy as a person. And I think part of it is that you have not had that overall ability to be the best at what you do.
Yeah.
And any guy that plays at that level will tell you that. Nick Saban's infamous for this. He quit Miami because he knew he was not going to win there. And that's just not acceptable, right? I mean, it's why guys like Aaron Rodgers drives away other teammates. And it's why you either love him or you hate him. Anyway, I could go on and on about it. I'm surprised the Packers have let it get to this point. What about Deshaun Watson? Because I think this is also a fascinating discussion. Deshaun Watson now has over 20 criminal cases pending against him.
Yeah.
This is gnar, bro. It came out that outside of all of the cases we know about, 10 police complaints were filed against Deshaun Watson outside of the 24 others. Like, this is now over 30 women that are bringing cases against Deshaun Watson for some sort of sexually based illegality. Mm-hmm. And I'm amazed by this. 10 new women going to the police department. 8 of the women are among 22 women who have alleged in lawsuits that Watson sexually assaulted them or engaged in sexually inappropriate behavior during massage sessions.
Right.
Some of whom were flown across state lines to service him. Now, I just ask myself, what are the Houston Texans doing? They're demanding 3 number ones for Deshaun Watson.
Yeah.
And I'm like, why haven't you traded him yet?
Yeah, again, it's just the age-old question of why would you continue to hold on to this guy? It's getting worse and worse by the day. I mean, this is like the stock you got in on at a great price. It went way up, right? Deshaun Watson was the darling of the NFL, and now the stock price is just going down and down and down and down. Yet you want to continue to hold and hold and hold and hold, right?
Pretty remarkable.
Sell him, get him out of here, move on. And this is what I'll continue to say. And, again, this applies to the Packers too. Bad organizations are bad at footballing. They're not good at making the pragmatic decision that their fans are not going to like. And we're going to talk about the Jazz here. I'll say the same thing about the Utah Jazz. The Jazz have forever been an organization that is really bad at making the tough decision that the fan base may not like, but is actually good for the product on the field and good for the organization.
And the hard part about Deshaun Watson is he's in camp now. Like, he's there. He reported. If he hadn't reported, it would have been something like $50,000 a day that he lost.
And it's not by his choice.
No, he doesn't want to be there.
Yeah.
But he knows he has to be there. And now all the questions every day. Mm-hmm. What's happening? Did you do this? What are you doing? How are you dealing with this? Like, I mean, it's remarkable to me. And his lawyer, the other thing that's amazing, and maybe it shouldn't be amazing. Maybe I guess I should just expect this. His lawyer, Rusty Hardin, is an incredible defense attorney representing Deshaun Watson, is saying that in the case of any settlement, that he and Deshaun Watson will mandate that no confidentiality agreement is signed.
Yeah.
Because they want everything to be public. Deshaun Watson is steadfast. He has done nothing wrong.
Yeah, and I think as long as they continue to take that stance,
You're approaching 30 women charging you or accusing you of sexual acts, mm-hmm. and you've done nothing. I'm amazed.
Well,
this
is why. But think about this seriously. Let's go deeper than the surface level of this. So the reason that Rusty Hardin is saying, "Hey, we're not doing buyouts or confidentiality agreements or basically behind closed doors deals," is because he wants the victims, air quotes, the victims, to have to be in the public eye. And I think for Rusty, and obviously by extension for Deshaun, they feel like if they can leverage the public and the media scrutiny and all that good stuff, that it's really going to help them. And I have to say, I do believe that that's an actually halfway decent strategy, because at the end of the day, when you're defending your mentality and you're defending sort of your reputation, at the end of the day, the public eye and the media is what is going to either save you or torch you. Let's say tomorrow it comes out that Tony Busby, the lawyer who is representing all these air quotes, the victims, let's say that tomorrow it comes out that all these victims were paid by the Houston Texans and this is all a joke. Not that that'll happen, but let's say it did. Then tomorrow, Deshaun and Rusty are going to be able to say, "We told you so." And this is why we wanted everything in the public eye. So that's why they're going with this angle. They basically want to continue to say, we're not doing closed door stuff. We're not guilty. We're completely innocent. We did nothing wrong here. This is all consensual. And at the end of the day, they're going with the long play. Deshaun's going to show up to camp. He's willing to suffer through the media. He's going to continue to get paid. And at the end of the day, that's what matters, no matter how miserable it is.
Yeah, no matter how miserable it is right. I mean, I just, again, teams that are bad at footballing consistently make bad football decisions,
Yeah.
and the Houston Texans are making a huge mistake here. If you truly are trying to move Deshaun Watson, you're not asking for 3 number ones. And maybe their price tag is not 3 number ones. That's just what the public face is. Well, if that was the case, he'd have been traded already.
I don't feel like this decision's that hard. This is much easier than the Aaron Rodgers situation. You know, like deciding to move on from Deshaun Watson, getting, as I like to say, getting what you can get for the guy. I
Yeah.
don't feel like this is that hard, man. I mean, this is somebody who whether he's guilty or innocent, in reality, he's guilty in the public eye right now. That's what it is. He's guilty. He's on Get Up right now. You know, what are they talking about? They're talking about Deshaun Watson because these two situations are linked. And who are we not talking about right now? Russell Wilson. Because who figured it out? The Seahawks figured it out.
Oh, my bad. Ciara?
Yeah, well.
Mrs. Russell Wilson?
Yeah, dude. So that's what I'm saying. Like, the Seahawks just flying under the radar, all good, got it taken care of, you know, got the relations back on the same page. We're going to go about our business.
Well, the NFL, I mean, we're just getting started in training camp, and there's huge stories already. You know, obviously, every day as we move closer and closer to kickoff, we'll be talking a lot of football on this show, the National Football League, you know, obviously Pac-12, BYU. We talk a lot of football on this show as we move into the season. So we'll keep you updated. The Deshaun Watson thing is terrifying. I mean, we're pushing 30 women.
But here's my problem.
Accusing him of this.
I know it's a lot of volume. It's a lot of people. It's a lot of people.
Well, even
man.
if you say half of them are on our gravy training gold diggers,
No,
okay, cool. What about the other 15?
Yeah, no, I don't doubt that. Here's my thing. I don't doubt that he did something wrong, right? This is what you can't get away from. No matter what he ends up actually getting in trouble for, that's different than what he did. He was in the room. He did some mischievous things. He did some things that were wrong. No matter what you say or what he actually gets disciplined for, he did something wrong. You wouldn't be in this position if you hadn't made people uncomfortable. Because let me put it this way. Think about it in life. Anytime in life, whether you're just at the store or at the office or whatever, dude, problems don't come to the surface until people start to get uncomfortable, until people start to be like, dude, like, what are you doing, man? Like, this is weird. You're violating my personal space. Like, when it gets to that level, things arise very quickly. So no matter if he, full on sexual assaulted these women or if he just touched them or I don't know what he did. My point here is that he was in the room and did something wrong. And at the end of the day, this whole situation will get blown up once there's evidence. And that's my thing. I don't know where this comes to an end because
I don't know how it comes to an end.
You can't tell me that they have video evidence of this guy. And if they did have video evidence of this guy, these wouldn't just be, complaints, right? These would be like much further along.
Yeah, nobody's ever going to, accuse Deshaun Watson of being the smartest guy on the planet. You were alone with a strange woman that you had never met and didn't know in a hotel suite. What did you think was going to happen? And then you did that allegedly 20 to 30 times, depending on how many cases are filed. I don't know what you do here. I really don't. Brylark says, I just have suspicions that the Texans are trying to devalue him to sign him for cheap. Well, he's under a max extension already. There's no signing Deshaun Watson for cheap. He says they're putting trade reports out there to prove to him there is no market to get him to stay. I don't think the Texans want him to stay. I mean, it's pretty clear that this was smoke.
Yeah.
And I think the Texans lit some smoke.
Remember how this played out in the beginning. Let's not forget where this started.
But it's important to say that Tony Busby, the attorney for all these women, was very close friends with Bob McNair, the late owner of the Houston Texans. They were neighbors, this attorney and Bob McNair. And allegedly, Cal McNair, who now owns the Texans, the son of Bob McNair, and Tony Busby are very close friends. So there are all kinds of ugly ties all across this thing. And I think that you're going to get charges from the Houston Police Department. I do. You don't have 10 women go to the police with similar stories and not get charges. Like, I think it's going to be tough to have evidence. I mean, obviously, text messages that have come out, I don't think showed that Deshaun Watson did anything wrong, frankly. How do I say this? He did something wrong. I just don't think it's evidence to charge him. I can't believe that they would have all these women going to the police and there would be nothing there to use. Nothing there. Like, that would be surprising to me. It usually doesn't work out that way. I've covered crime for a living, and it usually doesn't work out that way. When you have a mountain of women coming forward, this many women, I don't know what that would be. I don't think Deshaun Watson videotaped any of this. That would be shocking. They're going to seize his phone records if they haven't already.
Yeah.
I'd be stunned if they did not. If he had recorded it, I think there'd be something there already. I just don't know how he gets away from this clean. I really don't. With 24 accusations, with double-digit women, 10 women going to the cops, it would be shocking.
Yeah.
Eugene 12 says, dang, wish this was about the Jazz. Keep up the good work. Well, not every day do we talk all Jazz all the time. We'll get there in a minute. Brandon Whiteside says, I doubt players play the game just to be compared to others. They probably play for the money, then for themselves.
Well, that's essentially what we said.
Well, but I think if you're an offensive lineman that nobody knows, you play for the money. I think if you're Aaron Rodgers and you're a 3-time MVP, the money doesn't matter to you anymore. You've got that money already. You're married to a Hollywood, or you're about to be married to a Hollywood starlet. Like, money is not going to be your motivation for pretty much anything you do as a football player. It just isn't. I think Aaron Rodgers at this point of his career wants to win. I think everybody signs that first contract, and your lust for money is a big part of it. I mean, you don't sacrifice the way guys sacrifice just to get to play college football, not the NFL. The abuse that you take just to play college football and get paid nothing for it, that's, to me, why you sign that first contract.
Yeah.
When you're Aaron Rodgers, money's never going to be an issue because you're always going to have it.
Yeah.
So, is what it is. All right, make sure you hit subscribe. Where are we out on the subscriber count? Everybody keeps asking when we're going to give this Xbox away. Trust me,
tomorrow.
I think it'll be tomorrow.
Hopefully.
Because we're at 1,489 subscribers.
11 to go.
We usually do about 10 a day on this show. We usually pick up between 10 and 15 subscribers a day. So my guess is, what's today? Tuesday, Thursday, we'll probably announce the winner. We'll probably pull out the Snapware Bowl.
Yeah, I can tell you that Snapware Bowl we've been using, this guy over here.
Not big enough.
This ain't going to be big
You're
enough
gonna have to
anymore,
get a bigger
Brody.
one.
Yeah, we're gonna
And then, by the way, what the hell are we going to do after the Xbox?
No idea, dude. No idea.
We're
given now taking ideas in the comments section.
We've given away PS5s, PS4s, Xbox S, like several Xboxes, TV and Disney Plus. I don't know what we're going to do. I have no idea what we're going to do. We're going to do something. We'll see exactly what that looks like. An Epic Local Pass is cheaper than an Xbox. Right?
Yeah, dude. I mean, I just got one. It's $550 once you're done.
You should give away a smoker.
Hey.
We should reach out to
Barbecue Pit Stop.
Right? That's what I'm saying. Brylark says, no, I already read that. Sorry. Sean Mierzinski says, where there's smoke, there's fire. Yeah, Deshaun Watson did something. Yeah. No doubt about that. Ace says, you guys are stupid. You don't know humanity. Okay, Ace. Well, we appreciate you coming.
Thank you. You know, I really appreciate your contribution to the show today.
Usually, on a every other day basis, Ace will just walk in, make a comment, get banned by YouTube, and then leave. Okay. I mean,
Ace, here we have a flow chart of how Ace comes through the comments section, back to the top.
You know, give away a Series X instead of a Series S. Hard to get right now, but maybe in the future.
I like the smoker idea. I got to tell you, I like the smoker
idea.
I like the smoker idea. I don't know if it's an 885. That might, that's a lot of shipping costs, dude. And obviously, fine.
That would have to be only for locals.
Yeah, that'd have to be a locals only. We'd have to do 2 giveaways then for the next round.
That'd be crazy. All right, let's talk NBA. Ace is the place with the helpful hardware folks. This one. Ace is actually a longtime listener. He's a Salt Lake guy. And I just remember Ace coming out to the Red's Apple Ale. 1320K fan. Utah Utes pregame tailgate. It's ingrained in my memory that we used to do up at the U. And Ace was just always, like, he would follow me around. I would either be opening beer or security or something. And he'd follow me around and be like, you're going to be nicer to Travis Wilson. Trav is working hard. Okay, well, I'll try. Like, we used to have Travis Wilson arguments all the time. It is what it is. Brylark says, have you guys been paying attention to the Olympics at all? Yeah, we talk about it all the time. This Simone Biles thing is a big deal. And I'm sure we'll get more details on this as the day goes on. But if you did not hear, if you're just waking up this morning, probably the biggest story in sports is that the women's gymnastics team did not win gold today. And they lost Simone Biles, who withdrew from the Olympics altogether. It was first said she had an injury, but it is now known, thanks to her coach, that she withdrew with a mental issue. And I'm just like, you could see her breaking in the Olympic trials. Like, she was not performing well. She was crying. Like, this has been a mental toll on her.
Yeah.
And I think it's something in her generation and in your generation. We've got to get on board with the fact that mental health is a major issue in this country. Mm-hmm. And we cannot continue to hide behind, closed doors and, in the shadows when we're battling depression or other mental illnesses. We just can't do it anymore because people like Simone Biles are suffering. And it's largely our own doing. And to me, it's hurtful to watch somebody like Simone Biles go through this. And I'm curious, like Osaka is another one. Like, we put so much pressure on young people in this country to be whatever Instagram says they need to be, that people like Simone Biles suffer for it. And you put all that social pressure on top of performance pressure at the highest levels of gymnastics. I don't know, man. I struggle with 13-year-old swimmers. I struggle with, I know they're great stories and we love great stories in this country, but the toll that we put on people for performance is just too much.
Yeah, it's definitely a lot, no doubt about it. And I think the mental side of the game is really, as unfortunate as it is, because I do believe it to be unfortunate, the mental side of the game really separates, short-term success with long-term success, without a doubt. I can't read that, what was that say?
By the way, I just got a notification that PS5s are in stock at GameStop.
Ah, damn it.
Maybe we give away a PS5. I don't know. Let's talk Utah Jazz real quick before we get to because this millennial conversation we're going to have today is fascinating to me. Let's talk Utah Jazz, the Utah Jazz, man. I don't know.
Bro, anytime that we say someone's name wrong,
Bojan,
people get all upset. So you need to be careful how you be saying the Utah Jazz.
The Utah Jazz of the National Basketball Apparatus. I know it's association. Anyway, okay, so let's talk about Bojan Bagsnatchevich.
Bojan Bogdanovic.
Bagsnatchevich. How do you come up with this stuff?
I don't know.
Bojan Bogdanovic.
I don't know how I come up with Bagsnatchevich. It just comes right. You know what? It's a gift. It comes right off the top of my head, frankly. Bojan Bogdanovic and the Utah Jazz are certainly in the rumors these days as we get closer and closer and closer to Thursday's NBA draft. And the question is, what are the Jazz doing? Because they haven't done a whole lot to this point. And rumors are flying, and we've told you, the people we've talked to about the Jazz, our sources are telling us that there's not going to be huge change in this Jazz roster, that they are going to largely stand pat and prepare themselves to have a better cap situation a year from now. Maybe we're wrong, because rumors are abound that they are all in on signing Mike Conley, and they are willing to sacrifice Joe Ingles and Bojan Bogdanovic to get it done.
This is a code 10 abort.
In the form of draft night trades where they would allegedly trade Bojan Bogdanovic and Joe Ingles, either both, one or the other, for draft picks to create cap space to bring Mike Conley back on a multi-year deal. Now, there are mixed reports about this. I'm telling you right now, and Jake, I don't know if you agree with me or not.
Yeah.
This does not make a whole lot of sense. If you are the Utah Jazz, the move that makes the most sense is just standing pat, not doing a whole lot, putting an in-house number on Mike Conley. Well, if he wants to come back for $15 million, okay, we'll pay that luxury tax. But if you're all in on Mike Conley and you're willing to move Bojan Bogdanovic and or Joe Ingles to get that done, what's the net gain? Now, on Joe Ingles, with all due respect to our Australian and New Zealand contingent of listeners, because we have quite a few listeners in Australia that love Joe Ingles, and every time I bring up his name, you shut your mouth. I'm telling you now that a guy like Elijah Hughes is not going to replace Joe Ingles. And there's a lot of people saying, well, let Bagsnatchevich and Ingles go and just develop Elijah Hughes. Like, oh, yeah, okay, well, you know what? Let's, we traded Bojan Bogdanovic. We better plug in Elijah Hughes and pump up the batteries so that he's developed by the time that the season starts.
Come on.
Friends, it doesn't work that way. If you trade Bojan Bogdanovic and or Joe Ingles, there's going to be a huge hole on your roster. So is that really what you're going to do? Here's what I would do. I would let Mike Conley walk away. I would go and get a lower level point guard. And again, not that he's a world beater or even on par with Mike Conley, but Eric Bledsoe would have been a fine stand-in for a year. Mm-hmm. He got moved yesterday. I look at the trades that are available and the things that are happening. I look at the way, and again, I know it's a pro-am, and I know it's the basketball tournament, and I look at guys like Mike James. Mike James is a $2 million player for the Brooklyn Nets. I look at Austin Rivers. I look at all these point guards that are out there, and I say to myself, those guys are out there. You can go and find them. That's what you should do. You should let Mike Conley walk away. Now, it sounds to me, and Tony Jones, to his credit, was the first one on this at The Athletic to say that the Jazz are going to do whatever they got to do to bring Mike Conley back.
Yeah.
It's a huge mistake.
Yeah.
See, and depending on what you get him for in the term and if you're going to guarantee a second year, huge mistake.
Yeah, I just think either way. I mean, even if, even if you get him for even marginally less, 17 million rather than 20 to 25, let's say that that's what they got him for.
Yeah.
Signing him to that deal and then trading Bogey, you're essentially leveraging your roster more than it's already leveraged. And what I mean is think of it this way, like, this past season, you've got all these guys on the roster. Everything's cool. And then Mike Conley gets hurt, and you're out of luck. You can't do anything. Don doesn't have enough. He gets injured. We've been down this rabbit hole before. Let's say that you bring Mike Conley back, you trade Bagsnatchevich, and at the end of the day,
it's Bojan Bogdanovic, please.
My bad. Sorry, my bad, guys. Anyway,
Bojan.
Yeah. Anyway, point is that let's say that you do that, and Bojan's not here anymore. Now, what have you just done? You've made Mike Conley an even more important piece than he was before. So when he gets hurt, because it's not if, it's when, right? When he gets hurt, what are we all going to say? Oh, man, dude, he's hurt. He'll be back. It's game 2. Yeah. He'll be back. Oh, it turns out he was never going to come back.
But how much? Who's more valuable to you as a basketball asset? Is Mike Conley more valuable to you right now today than Bojan Bogdanovic?
No, because Bojan Bogdanovic is more valuable because I can teach Donovan Mitchell how to play within the system and leverage guys like Bogdanovic and leverage guys like Ingles, and I can essentially teach Donovan Mitchell how to do what the top-end players do, like LeBron and Steph and all these guys who will drive and kick, and they will also play one-on-one depending on what the situation dictates. So at the end of the day, I would rather have, Bojan on my roster rather than Mike Conley, simply because Bojan has been more durable and he can knock down that three at a really high rate. That's what I would rather have. I've maintained this for a long time. I would rather have a guy who is a little less capable but on the floor for 80 nights a year than a guy who is way more capable but only on the floor for 55, 60 nights a year. That's the truth of it.
Yeah, my struggle with Mike Conley has always been that let's be very clear. Mike Conley's an elite player. I mean, it is as far as a teammate, elite. Shooter, elite. Assist guy, elite. Finisher, elite. Durability, not so elite. That's always been my issue with Mike Conley. He's great when he's on the floor, but you go back-to-back against Minnesota, and he's never the same player. And you know, in my opinion, he's the reason that you didn't beat the Clippers. Now, obviously, the Don injury, was a factor, but so was Kawhi Leonard's injury. If Mike Conley's healthy, the Jazz probably beat the Clippers, and we get what we all wanted.
Yeah.
Right? Like, I think that cannot be devalued. And the struggle that I have with the Utah Jazz is they play these sentimental games, and we hoped, beyond hope apparently, that with a new owner in Ryan Smith and a new way of doing business after you fired Dennis Lindsey, that decisions would be made. Now, if you bring Mike Conley back, we're going to have a real serious conversation about whether you truly want to win or not. And we're going to have a real serious conversation about the Jazz ability, or at that point it would be inability, to evaluate who they are and where they are and what they need to get to where they want to go. Because I'm telling you, Mike Conley bringing you back pushes you further from a ring than closer to it. And I think for a lot of Jazz fans, that's something that's hard to digest. But there is, and make no mistake about this, Mike Conley's a great basketball player when he's healthy. But in no uncertain terms, and in no way, shape, or form, is Mike Conley worth 2 years, $40 million guaranteed to this team. And it's likely, if he comes back, it's likely going to be more than that. And if he comes back, he's probably going to leave money on the table in free agency. It'd be shocking to me if Mike Conley didn't go out and play the dating game with all these other franchises, teams like the New York Knicks, teams like the LA Lakers, the LA Clippers, the Portland Trailblazers,
the Mavericks,
the Dallas Mavericks, who have been heavily linked, teams that need point guards. It'd be really difficult for me to envision Mike Conley saying, no, I just love Utah so much and I'm not going to talk to anybody else.
And here's the real ball breaker. Which team of those teams gives Mike Conley the best chance to win a championship? That's the real question. Think about it. Do the Utah Jazz, can we definitively say that the Utah Jazz give Mike Conley the best chance to win a championship before he retires? Because I'm just telling you now, he's got, 4 seasons left? I mean, is that accurate? I feel like it's 4 seasons at the top, being optimistic, 2 on the low end. So if you're working with under 5 seasons left in your NBA career, are you really taking another chance on the Jazz? Are you really are you going to take a risk on the Mavericks? Well, no. You want to go to the Lakers. You want to go to whatever team is basically a bona fide title contender who needs one more piece. So that's why I say that's the real discussion that the league is having right now, and that Mike Conley is having. The Knicks, we can't definitively say the Knicks are a title contender at this point. The Knicks are a team that are putting their team together and trying to build towards something.
Sentimentality is terrible for business.
Yeah.
On both the player side and the team side. I mean, it is this whole thing where, you just quickly realize that you can't be sentimental. You can't be emotional. You have to be pragmatic. And the guys that are able to do that, and when I say the guys, the franchises, the Belichicks of the world, that are able to do that, generally will win on a consistent basis. And you don't have to like them, but you got to respect them because they're always making the right move. Spencer Morgan says, would take Bogey over Conley any day of the week. He plays through injuries, isn't rapidly declining due to age, and is underutilized offensively. The Jazz are crazy if this is true.
Yeah.
The underutilized offensively thing's a big conversation with Bogey.
Yeah.
I mean, I think when you look at Bojan Bogdanovic, the thing that really stands out to you is that as the season went on, especially post Donovan Mitchell, once Donovan hurt that ankle, you saw a real effort to make, Bogey the number one option for the Jazz, to make him the guy that can run the floor, get to the basket. All of a sudden, we started seeing a Bogey that was trying to dunk on guys, that was playing with his back to the basket, that didn't live and die on that 3-ball. But you see a player blossom into 48 points against Denver that night at the Vivint, or at the Vivint Smart Home Arena. And actually, isn't just Vivint Arena now?
I see both of them.
Anyway.
It's Vivint Arena on the building. It's Vivint Smart Home Arena on the broadcast. So I don't know.
I would have no problem with Joe Ingles being moved. I mean, Joe has slowed down quite a bit. His efficiency has gone down. I mean, he's still an elite three-point shooter and a really good teammate. But brass tacks, Joe Ingles is far less valuable than Bojan Bogdanovic to me anyway.
Yeah.
I look at Elijah Hughes. I think it's an incredibly important summer. Seeing him working with Chris Brickley, seeing him taking part in those runs, hugely important. I look at the way that the Western Conference is going to change, and it's going to come up because you hear all these rumors about the Lakers and the Clippers. You know, guys are saying that the Clippers is a destination in the NBA now.
Yeah.
Especially with the news that Kawhi Leonard, A, didn't have a full tear of his ACL, B, that he wants to do an extension with the Clippers. I mean, that's a team that was damn near the Western Conference champion. And you're one player away. And they did that because they signed Reggie Jackson for $1 million. You know, like the Clippers are a destination all of a sudden because they're getting an arena deal of their own. Like,
things are happening.
You start to see that the Chase Center in San Francisco is beautiful. And the Warriors have a championship legacy with this current ownership group. They're a destination. You start seeing that, well, the Lakers are the Lakers. What is there even to talk about? They're a destination, right? I think teams like Dallas is going to struggle to attract premier free agents, right? Like there was a guy on YouTube who left a comment saying, well, why don't you just go out and get, Brooke Lopez and Tim Hardaway Jr. and
It's Bropez.
Yeah, go get the Bropez. Why didn't we think of that? Just go sign all the best free agents. What are we thinking?
I mean,
here?
we're dumb, dude.
Why
we
not
we don't watch basketball.
Why not go and get Bradley Beal? But who's talking about trading for Brad Beal? It's Brad Beal, please. The Golden State Warriors are. I mean, that's the kind of deal that it takes balls to make that deal.
Yep.
But they're also in San Francisco. They have the Chase Center. They have an influx of cash. Paying the luxury tax is very different for the Golden State Warriors than it is the Utah Jazz.
Yes, it is.
So I think all of these conversations, when you're weighing sentimentality versus reality, you can't go to sentimentality. You can't be emotional about free agency if you're the Utah Jazz.
And I think, again, I don't mean to be repetitive, but I bring this up all the time because I think it's such an important factor in the conversation, which is the Western Conference is getting better, dude. Like, these teams, the injuries are not going to be here this coming season.
Every time you say this, it pisses people off.
But it's true. Like, again, you can say it about the Suns. You can say it about the Jazz. You can say it about whatever
Look at Portland.
About Portland, certainly.
Look how different they're going to be. Did nobody notice that this Memphis-New Orleans trade yesterday dramatically impacts the Jazz? Why do you think that the Memphis Grizzlies wanted to move Valanciunas? Why do you think they wanted to do that? Because he's not good enough to compete at the top of the Western Conference. And you can only say this so many times. I say this about Nurkic, Valanciunas.
All the slower, big, methodical bigs.
They're not good enough. Rudy Gobert is a very limited player. But if you cannot jump and if you cannot box, which neither one of those guys did a good job of, you're not going to beat the Jazz with Rudy Gobert. So what did we learn? Well, you don't have to have the best big man in the world, but you better have a guy, whether it's Ivica Zubac or whoever you want to point to, you better have a guy that can do some things offensively that takes Rudy Gobert away from the rim. And if you don't have that guy, you better put Terrence Mann in the corner and switch. Right? And that's why the Clippers ultimately won that series. We can go on and on about this. Please, I'm begging you, don't be emotional about guys like Bojan Bogdanovic. To a much more extent, the emotional guy here is Mike Conley and Joe Ingles.
And Derek Favors.
3 years and $30 million worth of an emotional attachment to Derek Favors, which is killing you right now because he's almost impossible to trade with $20 million left on that deal guaranteed, essentially, because he's got a player option.
Yeah.
I mean, when you're emotional, you lose. It's why you lost Gordon Hayward. It's why you hung on to Enes Kanter way too long.
Yep.
It's why you took so long to identify Rudy Gobert as your premier number one big man. And you held on to Enes Kanter to the point where that relationship got ugly, to the point where Gordon's going and taking free agent visits. And you can sit here and rip Gordon Hayward. You were torn apart the day that he wound up in Boston.
Yeah.
You were torn apart, and it only happened because you mishandled it. Mm-hmm. You went Aaron Rodgers on Gordon Hayward, which is why he left. You cannot continue to make the same mistake over and over. And I say this every day. I coach a bunch of people at work, and we're trying to get everybody to a high level. And with all due respect to you, there's a reason I have a 30-point lead in revenue on my team right now, because I do the same thing every day, all the time, because it works, right? When you do the same thing every day, all the time, and it results in failure, doing the same thing over and over and doing the same thing you've always done is going to lead you to the same results you've always had, which is you're not going to win a championship if you're the Jazz, right? Like, stop being the Utah Jazz and start being Ryan Smith's Utah Jazz. It's a new day, so bring the sun up and let's let Mike Conley walk away. You want to trade Joe Ingles? Do that. Have one terrible season to set you up to win 3 rings in 10 years because you got a guy in Donovan Mitchell that's a transformative talent.
And won't be here if you keep doing this.
It's so frustrating that this club won't, be factual. And maybe they are. And I'm saying this, based on the fact that they've done nothing, which, as I said yesterday, is not a bad thing necessarily. But the thing that's going to drive me crazy is if you don't make significant changes and you bring back Mike Conley. If you keep the roster you have and you let him walk away, I'm good with that. That's smart basketball. But you can't keep doing the same thing you've always done and expect a different result.
Yeah.
It just does not work that way. Brylark says Utah's problem has always been that they get way too emotionally attached to guys and overpay for mediocre performance. Absolutely right.
Yep.
Brandon Whiteside says Joe Ingles' love is unhealthy like a broke-down car. Time to move on before you lose the bag on that lemon, pretty much, because that transmission's going to have to be replaced. You blew a master seal.
Are they going to be better in the draft?
And clutches, anyway. Well, with the 30th pick, I don't know that you have much chance to be better, because Dennis Lindsey's traded every draft pick for the rest of time.
Yeah.
Brandon also says we have already paid. Okay, comment dump. We have already paid for Conley for the last 2 seasons. He signs for $10 million a year, or sign and trade, or let him walk. $10 million a year is not even going to get half of his deal.
Yeah, it's not close.
He's going to get a massive offer from somebody. And when I say massive, for a 78-year-old point guard, he's probably getting $20 million. He is 78, right?
Yeah, I think that's the number he wears, yeah.
Could be wrong. Could be wrong. If you are here, please make sure you give us a follow and a like on this here program.
It's called a subscribe, please.
A subscribe. Screw you. I've gone so far without making that mistake. Did you guys already talk about Aaron Rodgers? Yes, we did. Make sure you watch our full show replay, which will be available once this show is done. Before we get out of here, first of all, there's 9 minutes left until the Air Jordan raffle starts. Draw. You're not going to get in on it.
This is the blue one, right?
The blue one low.
Yeah, I want to. We just
I want to so bad on a broke.
We spend 5, 6, 10 gazillion figures on side hustles. So
you guys, and again, we're gonna break this side hustle thing down in a couple of weeks here when it's done. I kid you not. I'm not bragging. I just want you to understand we have 6 figures out on a side hustle right now.
So when you ask me, am I going to buy this shoe? Yeah.
I don't know, man.
Yeah.
The side hustle's epic. I mean, and I'm really excited about it. It is the perfect side hustle because it incorporates lifestyle and passion and money
and by
making.
the way, what do you mean? I just spent $600 on an Epic Pass. Am I going to buy a shoe?
Yeah.
Come on, bro.
Yeah, I mean,
And I still got to buy airfare. So, no, probably not.
Oh, that's right. We're going to Hawaii for Thanksgiving, and you still have not bought airfare.
No.
Are you sure you're going?
Yeah.
Okay.
Think so. Pretty sure.
Just asking, brah. Just asking. Sorry.
I don't know.
Let's talk about this millennial thing because I know we talk about this a lot, and we kind of hit on it earlier. So at the Yelpatory, we work with a lot of millennials. And the interesting thing is I think millennials, and you can tell me if I'm wrong or not about this, but
Yeah.
I think millennials generally fall into one of two categories. You either are thriving and embracing your existence, or you are really struggling with being alone. And that's kind of the reality for a lot of millennials right now. Like, the funny thing is I was talking to a young lady, I want to say 3 weeks ago, a month ago, and she loves being alone. Like, she lives by herself. She lives like 5 miles from her parents, granted. But this girl's 24, lives by herself, is getting her real estate license, has 6 figures in the bank. She got an inheritance several years ago while she was in college. Didn't spend any of it. Had gotten a scholarship to ASU. Like, is in this great spot. She's loving it.
Yeah.
But like, I talked to another millennial last week. What is today? Tuesday? Yeah, so like last Friday or something. Who has no money in the bank because she went to college, huge student loan debt, drinks herself to sleep pretty much every night, has roommates that she can't stand. Her parents live in Waco, Texas.
Texas.
Which she hates. And she's just stuck here. And then I have another millennial I work with who is absolutely miserable, lives by himself in a $179,000 condo his grandma bought 25 years ago.
Oh.
And can't stand it. And wants to get out and can't wait to have the bars open. And the guy literally said to me, this MFing COVID is killing me.
It's not the best situation, and we all know that.
And then there's you, who as a millennial, loves living alone,
Yeah.
is thriving financially, but you seem to be uneasy about your life or about some things that, you have going on.
I wouldn't say uneasy. I think that I'm
Not satisfied?
Oh yeah, definitely not satisfied. That's not going to happen for a minute. I think for me the biggest thing is like eventually I'm just ready to get to that place, and not constantly, but I have to kind of reset myself sometimes and get to a point where I'm like, all right, you just have to be patient. You have to kind of wait and continue to grind. This isn't something that happens overnight, obviously. But I find myself sometimes being like, damn, dude, like made all that money and now it's just gone into what we're going to announce in a couple of weeks. And not that I didn't want to do it, because I did. It's a great choice. It's the right choice for where I am in my life. 100% it's the right choice. But there's just some times where I'm like, damn, like what else could I have done, or what? Like, there's a lot. Like, I think about all the time. We're in the middle of a pandemic, and I basically just spent like 90% of what I have on what we're trying to do, and that part of that is, comes from the confidence of being able to make money.
But let's also be real and say that you have, even giving away most of what you had, you still have more than most.
Yeah,
like you
which
have
is
a
true.
pretty good nest egg sitting in your bank account.
Yeah, it's not
You
like
have-
I'm in trouble or anything.
You
It
have a
just is-
401k and a Roth.
Yeah, I mean, it's not like I'm in trouble or anything, or like, not in a good spot. I'm
But
fine.
you check that daily ledger and it's a
Yeah,
hell of a lot less
and
than it
I
used
want
to
more.
be.
I want a lot more,
Yeah.
and that's the thing. So it's not that I'm like, I can't remember the word you used, but it's not. Or I think you said uneasy or whatever you said.
You just feel like restless to me.
Oh, I'm definitely
like,
restless.
I mean,
I want to travel. I want to do stuff to my car. I have all the stuff that I want to do that I'm not doing because I'm trying to build structure, and I'm trying to build
Wealth.
wealth.
You're trying to
And
build
that's
wealth.
and that's what I mean. Like it's this game that you have to play where it's like, all right, well, and not that I'm criticizing you or saying you're wrong, but it's like, yeah, would I love to buy this shoe right now? Absolutely. I love the shoe. I want it. I want it as part of my collection, 100%. But there are some times where you have to be like, all right, well, I bought 2 shoes this week or whatever, and I've done that already. And there's some things, you've got car payments and rents and things you got to pay. And so there's just, you just have to balance it. So for me, I think the biggest difference, getting to the point here is that for me, I guess I'm just committed to the future. And sometimes, yes, I am restless. I do oftentimes wonder to myself, like, when am I going to do something that I actually want to do? You know what I mean? Like, when am I, like, the stuff that I'd recently done in my car, that was the first time I did something in my car in, like, really since I owned it, outside of, getting
Wheels
some
and
wheels
tires,
and tires.
yeah,
I mean, other than that, I hadn't done anything to this car. So, like, it's doing those things that I personally enjoy doing.
But isn't there gratification in that sacrifice, though? And I know that we talk about this a lot, too. I mean, we legit have $100,000 out on a side hustle right now.
Yeah.
And, I mean, you feel that. I don't care who you are. You feel that kind of money. Like, when I wired that money out, and I'm wiring more out probably on Thursday, it's just like...
Yeah, I mean, it's a lot. And you start to understand... it's funny, you start to understand, like, when we made the decision to do this, and again, we're not telling you yet because it's not technically official yet, but it will be official soon. But when you make the decision to invest that level of asset into something that is a long-term play, because this is definitely a long-term play, you begin to understand that you're able to make a lot of money, but you have to make the right choices with it.
Makes you sweat a little bit more.
Yeah, and you're like, okay, it's a calculated risk, but it's a risk that's going to pay off. In 10 years, I'm going to be sitting back here laughing at this investment because we're going to be making a ton of money on it, frankly. Like, I'd be really shocked if it wasn't producing easy 6 figures a year. Easy. Like, honestly, like, that's the kind of potential it has.
Yeah, it's just interesting. Eric C says, I'm on the alone side, and how's the grinder going, Jake?
Yeah, I mean, that's so,
It's the grinder app.
I'm on Hinge, but as far as that's gone, man, I've really lost my flame for it. Honestly, I've really lost, like, the want to and desire to do it. It's
so you're not trying to date at all right now?
I mean, I would go out on a date if something came along, but I'm not, like, actively putting effort and energy into it. No, I'm not.
And you're not doing that because why?
Because I just feel like at the end of the day, it's a time and money thing, and I value my time, and I'm tired of putting money into people that don't work out.
Do you worry that you are getting too comfortable living alone?
Oh, yeah. It's going to be miserable the first 6 months that I live with somebody. Absolutely. It's going to be difficult.
It's going to be miserable.
Yeah, because what happens is, seriously, what happens is, I know you think that sounds ridiculous, but here's what happens. You get into your daily routine, you get comfortable living alone, the things that you take for granted, you can't take for granted anymore because the things that you do, aren't what somebody else would do. And that's why I say, like, my last relationship really taught me that I just don't need that negative energy in my life. To me, and I'm grateful for it. Like, to me, I just know that I can, as sad as this is to say, that side of my life could never happen, and I'd be completely okay. I would live a good life. I would be happy. Do I want it to happen? Yes. Do I want it to happen? Absolutely. But I'm definitely not forcing it.
Yeah, that's scary to me.
Well,
that's really scary to me. I obviously I never went through this. I got married at not a young age, but I mean I met my wife I think in 1998.
Mm-hmm.
I was 25 years old.
Yeah.
Obviously we've had our ups and downs, but I've never really gotten to live alone in a long stretch like that. I mean, when I lived in St. Louis, I lived alone.
What's a long stretch? What would you consider a long stretch? Like 5 years? Is that a long stretch, or like a year?
2 years, 18 months.
Mm-hmm.
Because then, I mean, it's consistent. It's a habit. It is what you embrace and enjoy.
Mm-hmm.
And I think it's difficult to adjust when you've lived by yourself and you've never had. See, the hard part for me with you is that you've never had a meaningful relationship.
Mm-hmm.
You've never had that long-lasting lust for somebody else. That's the thing that I think changes you. And once you have that and you go through that and you lose that
But what are we sitting here talking about? We're sitting here talking about people my age being incredibly unhappy.
Yeah.
And that's not something I can change.
And I think the hard part is it's because, and again, not to be redundant, but it's because of the way you guys communicate. Millennials really struggle with face-to-face communication.
Mm-hmm.
And so you guys don't talk on the phone. You use, Tinder. You use these apps that give you a certain level of anonymity. instead of the proverbial I met her in the vegetable aisle, the produce section, or we ran into each other on the bus, or whatever it might be, because that's just not the way the world works anymore.
Yeah.
And so I think it makes it more difficult.
It does.
Fat Jesus says $100,000. Are you talking about human trafficking? No, but kind of.
I want more.
Not really, but I can't say humans aren't involved. Anyway, sex will be involved. I mean, it is what it is. I probably have said too much at this point. Anyway, the point is, how do you fix it?
There's not a lot of fixing it. How do I fix what?
I wonder how the pandemic is going to change the world.
Yeah, it already has. Yeah, and it's going to continue to change the world.
So your generation is particularly vulnerable to the pandemic.
Yeah, well,
I wonder how it changes you.
I think that. So I like to go a level deeper with it, though. I don't think my generation it's not. The pandemic is not the reason that my generation is vulnerable. My generation is vulnerable because, for the most part, we're not willing to work hard for the things that we want, and we were given everything we wanted as a kid. So now we don't have the mentality of going out and getting it, And I think that is why the pandemic is the poster child for millennials struggling, because we're in a time that forces you to, double down and work really, really hard for about the same amount right now. And hopefully that changes at some point, but I just feel like you have to be willing to go hard for a long time here, to get what you need.
Before we leave,
breaking
news out of the NBA.
Mm-hmm.
Kyle Lowry has let it be known in Toronto that he will consider a sign and trade with the 76ers if he gets $25 to $30 million annually.
Mm-hmm.
Do you think Mike Conley's price tag's not more than $10 million a year?
Yeah. Mike Conley ain't playing for $10 million.
When Kyle Lowry's potentially going to get 25 to 30, good luck.
Yeah. Well, what's the difference?
Good
Kyle
luck.
Lowry's won, and he's respected for that.
Good luck. Well, he's got a badunk-a-dunk.
Yeah,
so
he does.
He's got that booty.
He absolutely does.
He's got that booty. Anyway, all right, play the music. That's it. Show's over. Make sure you follow us on Instagram, Twitter, and TikTok. The Monty Show. MONTY The Monty Show. You can follow Jake on all those platforms. SLC Supercars. No, I'm not just going to tell you. Ace says, tell us already. Well, I'm not telling you already because we're not ready to tell you. All in time, my friends. Be patient. Make sure you hit a thumbs up right now if you're watching the show. Give us a subscribe. 10 more subscribers and we give away this Xbox Series S. Probably tomorrow on the show. Until then, say goodbye, Jake.
Goodbye, Jake.